The Illuminae Files, a trilogy I've heard a lot of praise for the last few years, written by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I've flipped through the pages a few times at the store and was intrigued, but never enough to add them to my never-ending to-read pile. Last year I decided I was gonna commit and read the entire series, but the pre-book I could only find in a short hour-ish long audiobook. I listened, was very confused because I didn't know the story at all, and also very interested because I had a full cast, which is something I've never heard before. I didn't follow much during that one, but I gave it a brief review in my November 2022 reading recap. This past week, I've listened to all 3 of the main books, and am here to spread the joy. Number 1, Illuminae. I gave 4 out of 5. I am so terrible at explaining sci-fi, and this gets twisty, so I'm not entirely sure what happened, but here's my best go at it. This takes place in 2575, when there's a war going on over a planet. Katie and her very recently ex-boyfriend Ezra are forced to evacuate, and they go on separate ships. There's a plague that makes people killers, so they have to kill the bodies of people they know and love. I swear we've seen this a million times in a million other things, but okay. Ezra's ship is infested, and Katie's mom is dead, so she contacts him to latch on to the only thing she has left. She goes to a ship to save him, only once she arrives, she finds out the AI was impersonating Ezra and that he's actually dead. He wasn't dead the entire time, but the AI jumped on as soon as he was. The AI hacks her equipment to see what she sees and to keep an eye on her while she's on board, and they bond until she also dies, which confused me at first. I was wondering why she'd befriend the AI that was impersonating her boyfriend, but actually, they were on the same team the whole time and she and Ezra are both still alive, in addition to her saving a piece of Aiden, the AI, so he can regenerate basically. I'd like to add that the name Aiden for AI is so cute and perfect, but back to the story. It ends with Katie and Ezra reuniting in a big embrace. The first half of this book I was kind of annoyed, thinking it was just like everything else we have, but by the second half I was hooked. It isn't the most original, but I do like the aspect of the AI. It's like Smart House in space. It's written in the format of documents, which was frustrating with the audiobook. Generally, with a physical book, I'll skip over dates and stuff, but I couldn't do that while listening. So I had to listen to dates and numbers constantly, which got annoying after a while. Also, the walkie-talkie speech with saying Roger and over repeatedly was a lot. But I did enjoy it overall and read the other 2. I do think it'd make an interesting movie series as long as they don't butcher the book like they did with Divergent, but I don't think they're going to. The rights for it were bought 8 years ago, and there's no update on that I could find. Guess we'll see. Number 2, Gemina. I gave 3 out of 5. To start off, I'm still thoroughly annoyed with the dates of emails and timestamps constantly being shared for every single message. I powered through regardless, but it took a lot out of me. I was so confused for about 80% of this book. I guess it takes place 5 minutes after the first one, but it's a whole group of different people. The main girl of this one is Hannah. At one point, Katie's dad says that Hannah reminds him of his daughter, and she asks if she's at school, and he sighs and says solemnly that she was on Carenza, implying that she died. Later, like 80% into the book later, it's revealed that this is a parallel universe. On this one, her dad is alive, and she's dead on the other one, where Katie is alive and her dad is dead. Somehow wires get crossed and they're able to communicate indirectly to each other through the universes. The series reminds me of a mix of so many other series. At first I was thinking it was like Voyagers, but now it's morphing into Interstellar, but aimed at an extremely young audience. There's a lot of murder and death in these, but my god, the dialogue is more YA than Twilight. It doesn't help that the voices on the audiobook are fully grown adults. I rated this one whole star less than the first because I don't like the character change when there was already too many characters in the first one to begin with, and there were so many graphic details about animals that weren't very vegan, and I'm very confused why I have to still hear about that when I'm reading a book that takes place on spaceships. If you read the first one, then I'd recommend this because why not? Especially if you're a younger teenager, maybe you'd enjoy the dialogue a bit more than I did. Number 3, Obsidio. I gave 4.5 out of 5. This one is by far the best of the series. I don't even know how to describe it. Basically everyone is sort of alive, and this is the end of the war. Katie's cousin has been protecting a child who gets shot and is seemingly dead, and then Aiden hijacks the system to kill 1,000 people to save everyone because there's not enough oxygen. Later, he hijacks the enemy ship to save the remaining people, including Katie, who he's fallen in love with, but in doing so, he seemingly kills himself. It really is a crime that Aiden didn't get a physical form at any point in the series to at least give Katie a hug. I was rooting for them so much. It ends with a court case and everyone's alive and has been hiding in farmland. Aiden is lovingly watching Katie as she wraps her arm around Ezra, something he'd never be able to do. I feel like that will be a common issue if and when AI becomes more normal in the household. Even in reading this, I fell in love with Aiden. I can't even imagine interacting with AI in close quarters. I hear the physical books are better, so I'd recommend trying those instead, especially for the benefit of being able to skip over the constant dates and times. But the full cast aspect is rather interesting, and it does intrigue a lot of people. I don't know. Either or. The story isn't to die for, and it reminds me of several other things, but it's fun enough for me to recommend. Now I hope even more that it becomes a movie series so I can cry watching it. Everyone go tweet at Brad Pitt or do whatever it is people do to get people to do what they want these days.